This event is going to have Nicholas Ayers. Say hi, Nicholas from Better Agency.
Hello, Nicholas Ayers from Better Agency.
Nice. Great dad joke there.
Hey.
And then we will have Lally, who is a remote worker specialist virtual assistant at Agency VA and a Better Agency expert. So she'll kick some butt and show us some tactics. This is going to be very much question answer near the end, and some tactical advice. We think this is going to be really helpful to agencies. So Nicholas, go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Well, we'll give a little bit of a backstory here so people have a little bit more context. Lolly was my virtual assistant for a number of years, and she was the best, the primo virtual assistant, super dedicated, forward-thinking, took initiative, and you never had to tell her anything twice. She was perfect. And what we did with Better Agency is we had Lolly and the other virtual assistants from Agency VA pretty much work. I put it on them to kind of play chess with everything and to make everything work and to stay on top of everything and to really be the implementers of the software. And that's kind of, I think, where a lot of agents will find a lot of success is by, they can do it themselves, but also utilizing the horsepower of a virtual assistant to make that stuff happen, I think is really, really important. And Lolly did a great. So she's actually going to show us 3 tactics today. We're going to have a little bit of a back and forth. She's going to show us 3 tactics today that you can use, that your virtual assistant can use, and you can deploy strategically with your virtual assistant inside of Better Agency so that implementation happens. And when implementation happens, results happen. And so Lolly's going to take us into that.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Okay, so just a bit of background. Okay, so I've been with Nick Ayers, okay, for Tribes Insurance, okay, for more than 2 years. Okay, so I can say, okay, that Nick is a compassionate boss. Okay, he truly cares, okay, to his VAs, and he'll listen to our concerns, and very passionate, and phenomenal. Okay, so before I share to you, okay, the tactics, okay, I just want to share that for the independent agencies out there, okay, if you want a system to manage sales and service while offering the best automation possible, it is Better Agency for you. Okay, so it's a sales-driven AMS and a powerful AMS CRM in one tool. Okay. So I'll share my screen here.
Hey, okay. Lolly, before you jump into it, I know that everything that you said, Ayers must have scripted out and told you to say all those kind things about him. But no. I want you to unwrap that a little bit more. Like, why would you? It's hard for me. Like, literally, I'm struggling to understand. Why would you call him a compassionate boss? Because those are not the verbs or the adjectives or anything I would use about him. So why would you say that? What are some specific reasons that you're like, no, Nick was a great, compassionate boss?
He's very confused. I mean, it would be the equivalent of someone said he was an attractive human being. So he's very confused. You can understand the confusion there.
So Lolly, share with us that. I want to see specifically, why did you think those things?
Yeah, Nick is very concerned. So he truly cares to the VAs, okay, regarding the tasks and also the personal, okay, if the one that we had before with problems regarding the pandemic, okay, so he truly cared toward the VAs. And then he gives second chances, okay, for the VAs.
Well, and I think it's good, and I will concede to one awesome thing that I saw Ayers do that I witnessed firsthand. A lot of people, when they get virtual assistants, they marginalize the VA and they treat the VA as a number, which is like, you don't do that to a human. You shouldn't do that to anybody. Most specifically, if you get someone to work inside your business, you don't want them to not feel a part of your culture and to feel like a number. It's not a good thing to do at all. One of the things that Ayers was a pioneer at and did really well is little things like developing a relationship with his VAs. And I know that was through, lots of Zoom videos, making eye contact, regularly. I know as well, a specific story that comes to mind for me is I was heading to the Philippines to meet his virtual assistants and shake their hands. and Ayers had me mule across the world, not just the country, a gift that I could present to them. And that was a pretty cool thing. I actually got to sit there and be the one that handed over that gift and then watch and see how well it was received. And I know that strengthened the relationship because, we have hundreds of clients and we probably had 2 or 3 that said, here, take this gift to my VA. And so that is the message that I want to just hammer down is if you want to have success with your VA in better agency or in anything, humanize, treat well, make a strong effort and impact to do that. Lally, is that something you would agree is helpful to motivate you to kick butt as a VA?
Yeah, so being compassionate and also being consistent. Okay, so for just for example, okay, so he set clear expectations to us and being open-minded also for suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want to do. Wes, you're making it hard for us to keep up the gimmick here. If you
Sorry, you guys keep going.
me and Wes have a gimmick where I insult him, he tries to insult me, and we go on. So it's all in fun. All right, let's get into it, Lally.
Okay, so let's start with so I will show you the 3 tactics I use to generate agency income using better agency. Okay, so the first tactic here is we use better agency to generate income using the sales pipeline. Okay, from here, the new lead here, the first part, the leads, will be generated here from a web form or web form, and then it can be added manually.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah, so basically, and just so you get, there's some understanding here. So these can be imported in a number of different ways. Your new lead pipeline stage is really dependent on your agency workflow. So if you use web forms on your website, we have a really beefy Zapier integration. You could zap that stuff in really easily. Or if you're working with walk-ins or you're at a networking event, you can add them in manually, and they'll all go in that new lead pipeline stage. And there's automations tied to that automatically. You don't have to start anything from there.
So directly when they get entered, an automation sequence is generated?
Yep. So to take it a step further, so if we have what's called a foundational new lead campaign, meaning if it's just kind of leads that come in from this, that, or the other, they're going to it's going to be foundational. It's going to be, trying to start a conversation. Let's say you generate leads from Google ads or Facebook ads, or you're an endorsed local provider. Those campaigns will start automatically with that affinity already built in or baked in. So we know we got your information from Facebook. We know you filled out, you did a Google search and you came across us and blah, blah, blah. So those campaigns, depending on how they come in, will also trigger those built-in automations.
So let's start with, let's take sample for this one, Tiffany, Big B. Okay. So for this one, for this lead, it will be auto. Okay. So this will be just you will drive and drop here, and then it will come up to set appointment date. So you just choose the date, the appointment date, settled with the insured or the lead or the prospect.
And when you put them in appointment date and you set the date, then the system's going to automatically do the follow-ups to try to increase the show rate. How many of us, we've set appointments with people and they don't show. So Better Agency is going to automatically move them through the pipeline. When you do that, you put them in an appointment schedule. It's going to automatically follow up with them. Hey, you got an appointment coming up. It's going to send them text messages, emails, and making sure they show up to that appointment.
Hey, Lally, when you were setting that up for Ayers inside his insurance agency, did a lot of people adhere to those appointments and show up? Were you able to witness that?
Yes. So you just after adding the appointment date, you just click save here. Okay, so let's just start saving here, and then there will be a campaign, to start with. So you just click start, and then the appointment scheduled is set.
And every time you move people through the pipeline, it's going to double check with you because there may be people that we don't want to start automations for. So it's always going to double check. There's always kind of that due diligence. Hey, do you want to start a campaign for this person? So it's always going to do that through every time you move through the pipeline.
Okay. Once, it has been scheduled, you will drop here on working. So you will have the choice, if it has been completed or the call has been completed, you put yes and then save.
If you were to say no, it's going to go back into the automation where it's trying to get them to reschedule an appointment with you. It's trying to get them back on the calendar if they no show.
Yes. Okay. So you start on working here. Okay. So that you will start here. From here, you will start the coding.
Yeah,
So
and in working, no automation is customer facing in the working stage. This is when you're working with underwriters or you're trying to gather information or there's internal. It's going to set automated task management processes for the producer to follow up with, to text, to email, to stay on top of it. It's not when you have it in working. That's kind of the pause for the automation customer facing wise.
Yes. So once the code is ready, okay, you will drop here for and code ready, and you will just start the campaign.
And quote ready is when you are, it depends on your agency workflow, but this is for the agencies that say, hey, I'm not just going to send out a quote. I actually want to talk to you first, and we're going to go over the quote together, and we have a quote ready, and we want to have a discussion about it, and your sales process goes in that type of flow. Quote sent, which we'll show you next, is when you do send the quote or you do a video quote proposal or whatever, and now you're just trying to close what you've already sent.
Let me ask you guys this. So we'll go back 2 steps. Inside the working campaign, and you're waiting for something from the underwriter, or there's, some sales don't generally always just go completely linear.
Right.
Inside that working campaign, Ayers, how often did you have your virtual assistants reaching out and getting that information from underwriter? Or is that something you saved for your agent?
Yep. No, that was something I had my VAs. My VAs, they played chess in this. They move things around, but then also when they needed to call a carrier or they needed to follow up with a customer by email or by text within the system, they did all that. Hey, we're waiting on, we're trying to get a deck page for your current policy. We need proof of prior, or I need to get underwriting acceptance on this type of risk.
Lally, my question to you in that is, when you were doing that, how did you, what were your thoughts on working with the underwriters? Did they receive you well? Were those conversations good? How did that go?
Yeah, we sent email to the underwriter, okay, and then we will just wait for the response from them or from the result, okay, to our request.
It was a good thing because having the VAs work with underwriters. I mean, there were a few cases where underwriters were like, they were jerks. That's common. They're having a bad day. But I would say, Lally, correct me if I'm wrong here, well over 95, 98% of the time, underwriters were fine. They would respond to us. They would give us the information we needed. They would respond to our questions, and we would be able to move forward.
Yeah, so it will only take for 24 hours, okay, for them to respond, or 24 to 36 hours or 2 days.
Well, I want to press on something here, guys, like maybe a misconception or maybe even a truth. Why do you guys believe, Ayers, I actually want to ask you specifically, why do you believe that the underwriters maybe had a rough time when Lally called? What's your belief there?
You ever spoken to an underwriter?
Yeah, they're not the happiest of people sometimes.
So I mean,
so it wasn't because of Lally. You think it was the other end of the conversation?
I think it was the underwriter? There was one scenario, and this involved another VA. This wasn't Lally. There was one scenario I recall where an underwriter was less than kind and chose to use terminology and words that I found to be unacceptable. And so that prompted me to get on the phone with my sales manager and to carry it as far up the chain as I possibly could to let them know that's not acceptable, and we won't be behaving that way. And you record all those calls, and I do too. So let's correct this and never let it happen again.
So let's proceed then. Okay, from the code sent. Okay, so the code, okay, has been sent to the insured then. Okay, from this part, code sent. Okay, so same thing here. You just start the campaign. Sorry. You just start the campaign, and then once, okay, the insured, okay, once the premium or the quote, okay, that you sent, okay, you just drive here or drop here on one, and then you will have the best part of this one, okay, it's once you won the policy for this policy is auto, so you have the capability to cross-sell policy, so we can start the home next.
Yeah, so here's the beauty of it, right? And I know we're moving fast through the pipeline. Usually a pipeline journey is going to probably be the course of hours or weeks or days. We're moving through it fast, stage by stage, and you might skip stages. But once you move it into one, what she's showing you here is and this is how you generate revenue. This is how you use your VAs in your CRM. You start cross-sell campaigns automatically. She's going to show you something in the next step, but I'll just kind of hint at it here. When you're closing business and you move it to one, use it as an opportunity to cross-sell if you haven't already. We want to package as much as we can. So when we sell just a single line of business, doesn't matter what it is, or if you sell two lines of business and you want to sell the third or the fourth, then you should be using your VA who's managing your pipeline should be in there initiating those campaigns and implementing those cross-sell campaigns for you when they see those opportunities.
Yes. Okay. So once you save this one, okay, there will be a automation or a campaign, okay, sent to the customer, okay, for the cross-sell for home.
Yeah, you probably have to add the policy number in there, Lily. But
yeah. Okay. So, and let's take, for example, okay, that this one, okay, just move this one here, okay, lost, okay, or the customer doesn't want the code, okay, you just drop here on lost, and then there will be a campaign here. You will have the opportunity here, okay, to choose the long-term follow-up. So you will add the expiration date here for next year so that the customer will receive the campaign.
Yeah, and so there's two things here. There's actually starting two campaigns here. You start the long-term nurture follow-up, which is going to email them over the course of the next year and continuously to try to stay in front of them. But the other thing that you're doing is you're creating an X date for them. So you don't win it. Their brother-in-law is a State Farm agent, whatever, and they go with their brother-in-law, and they got the policy today. So just in your state or wherever you're at, that maybe it's a 6-month policy or it's a 12-month policy. You create the X date there, and not only is it good for reporting, which she'll show you last, but then also it's going to create those X date campaigns so that it's going to try to bubble that back up to the surface well in advance. Hey, we know you got your insurance last year. It's coming up for renewal. We have all of your information. We could probably, there's been some things that have changed. It's going to create those campaigns, or it's going to start those campaigns that are already in the system for you. And it's going to start those X-date campaigns for you to try to get that back into the hands of a producer.
How much time and energy do you guys spend, Ayers, on the content inside of those campaigns?
We spent a lot of time. There's over 100 campaigns for personal lines and commercial lines, from sales, service, claims, and renewals, and cross-selling. And so we've spent. Let me put it this way: Better Agency has been around since October 2019. We haven't stopped working on those campaigns. We're still iterating. We're still adding campaigns. We're still doing that. And these aren't templates. When I say templates, these aren't things, we had one person come to us and they said, well, I was with another CRM and they told me how to Google for their template. And we said, no, this is already built in. You just click the button. It's already there. And they're long form, multiple emails, multiple text messages, tasks started. It's all there for you. So we've spent a lot of time building those, tweaking those, iterating on them, and adding to them.
Lally, question to you. Ayers always referred to you as his general. He always called you General Lally. Every time we spoke, he used those words. As the general inside of Better Agency, when you would send off a lot of those automation sequences and the content was hitting the prospects and clients, how often would they reply back?
Okay, so they reply back, okay, in a few minutes or in a less than an hour only.
Yeah, our contact rates and our response rates are generally really, really strong. Of course, anything I say should be taken with a grain of salt, but we see that success across the board with a lot of people. And the thing about the campaigns is they are editable. You can go in there, you can edit them. We suggest that you don't. You can, but you shouldn't. The reason we suggest that is because these have been campaigns and copy and things that we've split tested over hundreds of thousands of insurance prospects, leads, and customers, and we kind of know it works. And so you can go in there, you can tweak it, you can add your vernacular, your little spice to it if you want to. But they're intentionally created with trying to persuade them to take action intentionally.
Well, and Ayers, you said take what I say with a grain of salt. One of the reasons that Lally is on this call is she has an unbiased opinion. And one of the things I love about General Lally is she'll tell you how it is. That's like one of her strengths. And so if something wasn't working, I knew in asking that question, she would just straight up say it. So Lolly does not, she doesn't fluff things.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to chat with her about that. So I ask Lolly those questions because I know she's going to say exactly how it is. So thank you for that, General Lolly.
Yeah.
So what she's showing you on the screen here is you'd be able to put in the X date. You'd be able to put in the loss policy reason. So let's say, go ahead and put in the X date, make it 2022. It's a year-long policy. And then if you go down to loss policy reason, this is pretty cool. So you can specify why you lost it. Why did I lose the business? And you can say whatever, you can pick whatever you want there. And then you can also put the loss carriers, and you can say, I lost it to a direct writer, a captive writer. And then it's going to ask you, okay, so if I chose direct there, who did I lose it to? I lost it to Geico, right? Or whatever the case is. And then you can say, what was your quoted premium? So that you can start to track what you lost. And then this is also good when you're doing your X date reporting. You can see, and you can kind of rank and see, okay, well, I lost that one last year and it was $7,000 household. I'm probably going to work that one a little bit differently than the $700 one, who I lost last year. So you can kind of do that and you can hit save. And that will show up in reporting here, that she'll show at the end. But that's one way, this is one way, the cross-selling campaign and utilizing your VA to be the horsepower, the implementer on getting those cross-sell campaigns done, moving things through the sales pipeline is really where the goal is at. That's really the pearl of this part here, of this tactic is utilizing the VA to drive the implementation, knowing that all this stuff is already done for you. You just got to move it. You just got to click drag and drop, and then maybe enter in effective dates or things like that. And that's really the goal here.
Yep. Okay. So that is the first one. Okay, using sales pipeline again, and then the next one. Okay, will be using the contact list here. Okay, so from here, you just click the contact list. Okay, so let's take for example here Melvin Hunter. Okay, so there are two ways, okay, to generate income here using the contact list. Okay, let's start with a cancellation or winning back the customer. Okay, so just click on the policy details. Okay, let's take for example this is canceled, so I'll just cancel this one. You click the policy, cancel, and then there will be an option for you here, okay, to fill up the form. Okay, add the reason, maybe your price, and then select courier direct, and then the courier, and then the term will be, for example, 12 months. Okay, so you add here the new policy premium. So let's take for example here 2000. Okay, and then you click save, and then there will be a there should be an opportunity here for you to choose.
It's gonna bring up,
Winback.
it's gonna bring up a box here. So, or at least it might have been because we were tweaking it a little bit, but it brings up another box that says, do you want to start a Winback campaign? So again, this, from a practical standpoint and a tactical standpoint, what your VA should be doing is they're, you get a request and they're managing the inbox or they're managing the service, and someone says, I need to cancel the policy, and you've done all that you could to keep them, but they want to leave. Your VA goes in there, they cancel the policy in better agency just so they can report the metrics as to what their new stuff is, like when they left, because remember, it's going to create that X date campaign automatically, and it's good for reporting. But then they also give you the option to start a Winback campaign. And it's optional. You can start it or you can't, because we all know there's customers that leave that we're kind of like, we got the gift of goodbye, like goodbye. And, but there are some customers that we want to keep. And so you try to win them back, and you do that periodically. It's another form of a long-term nurture campaign, but the intention is to get them back into the agency. And so you can do that. So that's one thing you can do from the contact record to kind of help your agency kind of generate more opportunities is, going into canceled customers and putting them in win-back campaigns and trying to get them back on the books, the ones that you want, that is. So that's one way to do it. And that's one thing your VA should be managing inside of your application. The other one here, she's going to show you how to start a campaign just from the contact record. And so this is cool. I'll preface this a little bit. Is what I had my VAs do is they did the service, right? So we had them do all the service and touch all the files. And what they would do is they would leave notes in the system, and they would be responsible for that. But what they would do, they were tasked for, and our SOP was go in there and see what policies they have. And whatever they don't have, start the cross-sell campaign automatically. So if you see somebody with auto and home, but no umbrella, start the cross-sell campaign for umbrella. Auto no home, you get the idea. Auto home umbrella, start the life one. And so we had them do that automatically from the contact record, just as they were coming into touch points with customers. Customers wanted to add a card to their policy. Oh, we saw they didn't have their home insurance or renter's insurance. We know that they own, because we specify that they own. Let's start the cross-sell campaign for home insurance, or vice versa. So that's another thing she's going to show you how to do here that you should be utilizing your virtual assistant for.
Yeah, so just to show you how, okay, let's take for example here, Melvin has home already. So just click on the campaign details here and then add the campaign. And then you may choose auto because she doesn't have the auto, and then she will receive the campaign via email.
Yeah, and it's going to automatically initiate that campaign for text and email and the task management. And you're going to be able to see here, once this kind of refreshes, you're going to be able to see what campaigns they've been in, what campaigns that are now. You can preview messages, you can pause campaigns, you can restart campaigns if you stopped them. We were having some issues earlier with the speed of things, but that's essentially what that's going to do. So that's utilizing your, there you go. So you're able to kind of turn on or turn off campaigns, and you're able to kind of have them start the cross-sell campaign and implement that for you so that you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you can click that one, you can pause. You can stop, or you turn off, or you can pause here.
Yep. And you can see the upcoming ones and the past ones. So that's another thing from a workflow standpoint, that, I mean, your virtual assistants, especially if you have them doing service, or you have them touching client files, even from a clerical standpoint. Let's say you don't have them doing service, but you just have them doing clerical data entry. I know every agent has a different kind of threshold for what they want or don't want to have happen, but if they're touching files, have them start those campaigns for you. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to tell you no. Like, just have them start the campaigns, and you'll be amazed at how many opportunities you get just by having those campaigns run for you.
Yep. Okay, just like here, okay, in this customer, okay, it has upcoming campaigns for cross-sell life, and then the one that I remove is this one, the auto cross-sell.
Yep.
Just today.
Very cool.
Okay, so
and before you leave here, just as a sidebar, another thing I'd have Lally and the VAs do is, over on the right hand side, they can text and email. Yeah. So I'd have them text and email one-off text messages or emails, and just have everything live in Better Agency. I can see all the communication. They would say, hey Melvin, I just sent you an email, or thanks for letting us make that change to your auto policy. I noticed something. I wanted you to take a look at it, so I shot you an email. Like, you can do those one-off texts, and I would have them do that in the system, and I would just give them scripts and say, okay, remove this highlighted part and just copy and paste, and it was my words. Just copy and paste it in there and start those one-off communications, so it doesn't ever feel like it's automated, because it's not really. It's them doing one-off stuff on top of the automation that's happening. The customer really, and the prospect, that has really little to know. I'm sure some of them do, but they really have no clue that what's going on is automated.
Yeah, and if you want also, okay, the response or the text that you added here, okay, you can save as a template.
Yep.
Here.
Exactly.
And then all the automations here, okay, will be seen here on view notes also. Just take this one. Yep. Every activities that you did here on the account, okay, it will automate. It will show here automatically.
Yep, that's correct.
On the notes. And
you can filter those notes out too, to just show you certain types of things, so it's not such a long list. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so for the third one, okay, the third tactic is using the renewal pipeline.
Yep. And while this is pulling up, so this is kind of a different way to think. Insurance. I was an insurance agent for 16 years. I learned pretty quickly and pretty early on that I never made as much money on new business as I did on renewals. And so the name of the game is residual income and getting those renewals to renew and to increase my retention, because one point in the retention improvement could be tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And so we've intentionally made this a key component of the platform. And what we would have the VAs do is they would manage this pipeline. They would manage the renewals to always stay one step ahead of the curve when it came to where things were at, and making sure as much business is renewing as possible.
Okay, so for the renewal pipeline, okay, so how can we generate income here? Okay, so it is set for this agency, okay, it is set for 60 days before renewal or before X date. Okay, all the 60 days before renewal, it will appear here automatically. It will generate here on the 60 days on the spread.
And that 60 days is editable, and you can see right there, there's one for commercial, doesn't have anybody in it. This is a test account.
Yes.
But
yes,
you can edit that. You could say, hey, I want it to be 30 days for personal lines and 90 days for commercial. And it's just going to pull the information out of the system and just put them in there. You can make that 37 days, 28 days. And the same for the percentage increase.
the rate increase.
I was in Florida recently talking to an agent, and we showed him 12%. He said 12%. If it's 12% or more, we're high-fiving each other in Florida because of the way the market is. And so he said, that's got to be like 20 or 30% for me to even want to touch it, because that's just the name of the game. So you can edit that as well. And there are automations that are tied specifically. You know, the way that you talk to somebody who's got a 12% increase or more is probably a little differently than what you tell somebody who's maybe only got a 2% increase. Right? It's more, thank you for your loyalty. We appreciate you. Anything we can do for you, et cetera. The name of the game is never to try to create reshopping opportunities, although we want to make sure that customers know that we're here for them and we want to do evaluations, but it's to try to just touch them, communicate with them, be in front of them long before they get anything in the mail from their carrier that tells them that, you know, premiums went up. And so that's the name of the game: increase retention by increasing communication and being transparent and being in front of them.
So for me, okay, I know it's better if we have the 15% here, the increase. Okay, so let's take for example here, okay, for this one, if Ladonna Silver's policy, bold policy is or increased 15%, you just drop here, and then the sales department or the salesperson will do a reshop.
Yeah, and before you go on there, there's one thing here, and this is available on every pipeline stage, by the way, but this is where it becomes really important during the renewal phase, is you see right there that next action date and next action details. Sometimes there might be things that you need to do as a next action date, or things that the customer needs to do as a next action date. It could be there's a non-renewal because they've got they've got a branch that's hanging over their roof, and so you need to mitigate this. You need to stop it before a certain date so that the renewal can happen. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to remind you. You set the next action date. You put the details in there, and it's going to help your team know what it's looking at. And so if it gets past that July 8th at 2:51 p.m., it starts flashing red, or it looks bright red, and it tells you, hey, buddy, you need to go in there and see what's going on here, because there's something here that's going to prevent this from happening.
Yes. Okay. So for example, okay, this one, okay, if the policy or the renewal, okay, decreased 15% or 8%, you will drop here, and then you may have a cross-sell campaign, okay, for to increase income also, just like doing the contact list.
Yeah.
You just go on the policy details and then look for the policy that the insured doesn't have. So this for this example, you can choose the home, since the customer already has the auto, and then you just close it.
Yep. And whether it's sales, service, renewals, the dashboard, the campaigns, when you're utilizing your virtual assistant inside of your CRM, here's how you need to look at it. You need to look at them as air traffic control. They are the ones on the runway, and they've got the flashers, and they're telling planes where to go. And they're saying, you go over here, you go over there. It's not the people who run the airport who do that. It's not the pilots, right? They're taking direction, and they've got somebody dedicated on the ground who's helping move things where they need to move. And that's what your VA needs to do. We talk to agents quite a bit, and it doesn't matter if it's our software. It doesn't even matter if it's software. It could be training tools. It could be product knowledge. It could be getting a designation. It could be all kinds of things. Insurance agents, and I shouldn't even say insurance agents, humans, sometimes have a tendency to kind of stay consistent with things. And one of the big things that people that we encounter is people having trouble implementing. You've probably been there too. You've probably gotten a book that you never read. You've probably joined a course you never completed, or wherever the case is. Implementation is always the hardest part. And so having your virtual assistant be the air traffic controller, be the person who's like in Hunger Games and he's like, they're making the game happen. That's what your virtual assistant needs to do. And so whether it's on the sales side, the service side, the cross-line side, they're touching the files, they're looking at things, they're in there a lot more than you probably are. You're looking at reports, and that's really what you should be doing. You should be looking at higher level things, and your virtual assistants should be the ones that are the tacticians on the ground. You're the field general on the hill saying, send in the brigade, but they're the ones who are actually fighting the battle. And that's kind of how you should approach it, so that you can stay consistent, because they're going to be consistent. They're human automation, and that's what they do. So they're going to be consistent, and you're going to implement, and that's how you should think about the virtual assistants. Rant over. I apologize.
No, good rant.
Yes. So once it is completed, the renewal, you just drop here and completed, and that's it.
Yep. And you're going to enter in the information because maybe you changed carriers, or maybe you wrote it a day before it renewed or whatever. So you're going to update information. It's just going to be a rinse and repeat cycle every year. So your virtual assistants is managing the renewal pipeline, making sure things are going where they need to go, and the communications that are tied to all those dual stages are happening.
Yes.
I had a couple goals, guys, and I think we achieved a lot of them before starting this webinar here. I wanted to illustrate the benefits of humanizing and communicating with your virtual assistant as a part of your team, and the benefits associated. And I think as Lally's gone through this, I've worked with hundreds of insurance agency owners and agents themselves at this point, and I would say that Lally could compete with the best of them at Better Agency because she felt like she was a part of Ayers' team. She knew that. She knew she was a part of his team. She knew that she could, go to him with questions, concerns, and they talked regularly. And I've also found with agents, as it pertains to anything technological, they have the tendency to get fiercely overwhelmed. And it's a bigger issue than it potentially should be. Something that's really, really effective if you're looking at a new software is to have your VA on the call with you while you do it, and commission the VA should you choose to make a switch or start a new software, that it's their baby, that it's their project, that they take it on, because the VA is going to go through the trainings and take the time that you may not do as an agency owner to watch and to learn and become a master, at that technology. I know outfits at Agency VA, we have entire modules inside our training platform, Agency VA University, that go over how to tactically do this. There are team leads inside our organization that go, and if it's a new VA, they sit over the shoulder, train them. Lally's helped numerous VAs on Better Agency, but the power comes from the VA taking on that responsibility, owning that, working as the general. That's the human side of it. And that's what we're really excited about to illustrate and show as these virtual assistants continue to get humanized and loved and as a great part of the team as they should be. Results like this will come out of it. So yeah. Nick, thank you so much. Lally, thank you so much. Is there anything you guys would like to say in closing? Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Can I show one more thing? Lally, while I prep this, can you allow me to share screen? Because I want to actually show another thing that your virtual assistants can do. And this will be super quick. This is not necessarily inside a Better Agency, but as a resource that will actually allow your VAs to actually level up. So we have our user group for Better Agency, and I would encourage you to have your virtual assistants be in our user group, because what we do is every single day we do calls, every single day, training calls, campaigns, best practices, Zapier integrations, everything from onboarding to support. Put your VAs in there and help them level up. We do trainings every single day, support every single day. They're in there, they're seeing what other people are doing, and it's really great. And so make sure that's a resource for your virtual assistant and for your agency that's going to help you kind of improve and step up your game and help your VA step up their game. And they're going to be thinking of things that you didn't even think about, and that's what you want.